We're back, peoples. Welcome to the Stoked Bloke Show. I'm Barton Lynch. I am the Stoked Bloke. This is Peter PK King.
I'm here to help.
You're here for love, mate. You've been in Fiji.
I did. I took a week off and went to the warm waters of Fiji.
Yeah.
To John Roseman Island.
Yeah.
Did you see that wave?
I saw John Roseman's wave on yours and other Instagrams, and it was one of those mesmerising moments where you start to feel like someone's slipped mushrooms in your breakfast. And it just started morphing and growing, but as it did so, it just got cleaner and more transparent and reflective off the roof, and I was like, oh, that's one of the best barrels I've ever seen. So was that good timing, or what were you actually doing down there? Did you go on a strike mission for the swell? Or?
I did a little bit. I went with a group of young rippers, all goofy foots, all Barton approved goofy foots.
There you go.
Jarvis Earl,
yep.
The Aussie.
Young ripper.
Luke Swanson from the North Shore.
Yep.
And Aaron Brooks from the North Shore, Canada and California.
I remember when Mitchell Ross brought Jarvis Earl onto the Hurley team, and I hadn't really heard much about him, and at the time I didn't know whether it was a good idea or not, essentially. Yeah. And as you watched it play out, you went, wow, that was great judgment and really good scouting from Mitchie, because he's obviously a superstar at this point in time. He's so clean, both forehand, backhand in the air. How do you go in the tube?
They all surf so good. We got restaurants.
How about Erin?
Tavi, right? Erin Brooks is 16 years old. She's just an incredible tube rider, and she was charging cloud break, restaurants, just ripping, and she had a great time. Luke Swanson, incredible, so comfortable in big stuff.
Really,
from Hawaii, and just very relaxed in the big stuff. We got some 6 to 10 foot cloud break, which is a serious situation.
Cloudies is a threatening wave, isn't it?
There are those couple waves where you just kind of kick out, and there's one moving wide, and then you got to duck dive, and you get pushed in, and you get really run through the rapids of that shish kebabs. Yeah,
that's not fun.
It's a fun word to say, shish kebab.
It's a really fun word to say.
Yeah, it seems like there's a big La Jolla migration to Tavarua, because
really?
I went there in '87. I'd like to say I'm responsible.
Yes, you fashioned it.
I came back with some tales of this left. It was brand new, the camp itself.
Cloud break?
Yeah, Tavarua.
I
call cloud break Tavarua because I forget that there's two different ways. They had the rights on the reefs for 20 years.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went there in '87 with Mike Stewart and Don King.
Yeah.
Had an incredible trip. Watched Mike Stewart duck dive a wave and stayed under until the second wave passed.
What? And just kept kicking underwater.
A miracle.
Did a two-wave duck dive?
Yes.
I've never heard of such a
miracle.
thing.
I watched it at 8 to 10 foot cloud break in 1987. I saw it with my own eyes. Anyway, I went home I came home from Fiji, told John Roseman, my friend, a goofy foot, I said, you got to get down there.
Oh,
he was down for travel, and I knew he'd want to go. I told him over and over, it's insane. You got to get down there. You got to get down there. So, in long story short, he went and
lives there.
Eventually he came back from a trip there and said, hey, guess what? They're going to let me buy in and be a 1/3 owner. Just seems like there's a lot of La Jolla boatmen that have come through, and a lot of Hawaiian. It seems like we know the boatmen are, Connor Coffin was a boatman. Professional surfers have been boatmen on Tavarua.
Yeah. A lot of them over the years, right?
They were all ripping. Everyone's out there, Tristan, Mick, and John, of course, gets this. So I'm filming this one morning. John gets a great wave. Then he gets a better wave. And he comes over to talk to us. We're in the channel. And everyone's back on the ledge where it's breaking. And he's way in the channel. And he just kind of lollygag paddles out. So wide. And this crazy wide capra came. The roll-in was like 20 degrees. Like your cat could have ridden this wave. It was the easiest entry. And then he just got to the bottom, just stopped like he does. And the thing, like you said, it just turned magical see-through blue. Looked like Tahiti. Or that old picture of Matt Mondragon at Inside Sunset. Do you remember that Aaron Chang picture?
Aaron Chang picture.
It really reminded me of a reverse version of that. And as I was watching it, I felt like time slowed down. I was shooting in slow-mo, but I'm watching it in real time, but I'll play it back now in slow-mo. And it was mesmerizing.
Yeah, I did that to me just first look, the way that it just started. You go, oh, it's perfect. And it just, oh, it's more perfect. Oh, and it grabbed you, and it looked like the most beautiful. It looked surreal. Yeah. Didn't look real. It was one of their moments.
So we had a good time.
Yeah, good trip. Lucky bugger. I've been here all month. We've had a lot of small waves here on the North Shore, some different sort of weather for this time of year, but it's only now got warm. It was quite cold for a while.
I know, I think I ditched the rain.
Yeah, last couple of years been a bit of that, bit of wind, and we've been surfing every day, though. We've been loving it. The pros themselves, they were over at Margaret River, and we got to watch that.
The saddest contest of all.
The cut, so sad.
It's supposed to build drama, Barton.
It does build drama.
Is that the kind of drama we want? You know what else draws drama? Stabbing people.
Yeah, car accidents.
Those bring drama too,
mate,
yeah.
and ratings and viewerships.
If it bleeds, it leads.
And that's what they say. Like, why do people watch car racing? Just in case there's an accident. But it was, there was the WSL curse was in full effect through the waiting period, and then they got off the hook with a great last day. Fantastic waves. We saw a controversial heat between John and Gabrielle again, which they're always going to be because they're both so good. And that was an amazing quarter, I suppose. And then
crowd went crazy on that result. Did you watch it closely?
I didn't watch it closely. I'm over buying. I don't. You know what I mean? We've said what we believe. We've spoken our truth. We watch things play out, and Kelly said it in our interview with him. I believe that it's hard to imagine a top 5 without Gabrielle in it. It doesn't make sense because he is so good. He is so consistent. He's always, never has a bad heat, really. Right. He's always right there in any heat. And when you've been doing it so long and there's high expectation, it becomes harder, and you need to find new things. And I did a podcast with Icario Carvalho and some Brazilians recently, and you can't. What they've got to watch out for is the backlash of your whinging or your complaining, and people going, well, they're always whinging. They just whinge, and you don't want your nation to be tarnished like that. You don't want Gabrielle Medina to be tarnished like that. And at a point in time, I remember having to change the way you think and go, okay, that wasn't working. I'm not going to buy in. I'm going to stay positive. And you find a way within yourself to not let those pressures that are coming to bear dull your sunshine. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you find a way around it, and you don't let it get you, because a lot of that stuff really, in essence, is designed to challenge you, to get you to dull your shine. And if you can not let them dull your shine, not let them brand you, not let you behave in a way they expect, and give it something fresh and different that is positive and allows you to stay free of getting caught up in the bullshit, then that's what needs to happen. Right. No more talk. I'm just going to go and get the best waves and rip. And the event went on, and we ended up with John and Jack Robbo in the final, which was an insane final, and second for those two guys to be in together. And Jack Robbo is full of mojo, mate.
I'm so happy that he gets to win a couple of these contests in West Oz. There were so many times when he just didn't quite make it in as a wild card. Right, and he was the best in the town, best in the area, maybe the best in the country, but couldn't get in the tour events as a wild card. There's one slot they usually leave open for a local.
Right. And
it's really hard, and then now he's winning.
He's winning, and he's got the mind of a winner. He's got the commitment, the dedication, the consciousness and the awareness that we see in the front runners right now in Griff, Robbo, John, and Ethan. Those 4 guys are such mature young men. You know what I mean? They're all meditating. They're all deeply connected to themselves, and they're learning and they're growing, and they see it as that. And as a byproduct, you just see the surfing going through the roof. The natural footers are on fire. It's not right. The judges have got it in for the goofies. That's the latest one. That's the new one.
Has nothing to do with country or culture.
In the women's?
It's regular versus goofy.
Yeah, that's right. It's the old one, hey.
Women's.
Gabrielle O'Brien takes the win.
I knew it. I called that.
Did you call that?
I always call that there, yeah.
She's amazing.
She should win there in Sunset every year.
Yeah, she could be on the verge of a reign of John sorts at certain locations.
Such a good power surfer. Incredible cutback carves.
Big open, wide stuff, eh? And when the face is there, she provided. Dog Marsh is a conniving, intelligent, young street smart. He's kind of got all the experience, got all these elements of him as a character that come together. And I was happy for him to see that succeed.
Speaking of coaching success, how about Doug Silva going there with Seth Moniz, who has not had a result yet this year? brings in the 12-time world party champion, Doug Silva.
He's reformed.
Yeah, well, he brings in the energy, though, right?
Yeah, and
Seth is, Seth, there's the turtles and sharks in the world, and Doug's a shark, and Seth's the turtle.
Yeah.
Super talent, but he's a mellow dude, and you got to kind of have that hammer in your corner, and I think the energy they brought together was great, and gets a semifinal, which a lot of people said, he may have won that heat. I didn't watch it closely enough, but that's an incredible result, makes the cut, and now Dougie is coming in Seth's backpack to every event this year.
And it was really I surfed with Dougie this morning. So we went into bowls, Lion and I, and Dougie was out there with Shaden Picaro and a few students.
Let me guess, the energy was there.
And that's what I said to him, mate. I said, hey, beyond the winning, congratulations on the success and getting through. But what they provided in terms of entertainment on Instagram was insane. I loved it, mate. Cool, and all of a sudden there was, like you were saying, there was a colour and a vibrancy and a character and a personality to Seth's content that was like, oh, they look like they're having a good time. You wanted to be there with them. And then that positivity, along with his creative genius, he's got some madness in there, Dougie. He's as mad as a hatter, mate. You know what I mean? Most probably from those former years.
Well, he's a former amateur world champion.
Yeah, and he's in the water every day.
Yes.
He's living in that and living the dream and then sharing that with. So congratulations, Seth Meniz, for saving your ass. The saddest thing, and Dougie Silva, the saddest thing for us was that...
the Poopos.
The Poopos. Watching Sammy and Miguel have to go and surf a heat knowing that the loser was off tour. And it's your brother.
They ended up both not making the tour.
Yeah, and that was almost like it made it feel easier to deal with. But in that moment, there was such emotion and it was so sad. And I would call it right up there with the saddest things I've ever seen in surfing. The other saddest thing I've ever seen in surfing was at the Eddie Aikau, when Tony Ray is leading that event and the last heat's in the water. And it looks like he's going to win it. No one else in the last heat can catch him. He is doing interviews with the media as the winner of the Eddie Aikau. And while these interviews are going on, and he's my bestie, mate, and Ross and I and T-Ray are there we're just because Tony Ray is the ultimate underdog. And that moment was going to be one of the greatest moment, a historic lifelong moment for T-Ray. And we're all so excited. And then this word, you feel the clouds start coming in, and Kelly Slater's gone up to the tower, checked the results, found a score that they weren't counting in his thing or whatever. However, I don't know what that is. And when we get Kelly back in...
He found a true discrepancy in the scores. They forgot to add it in.
Yeah, so they added in. He's winning. Yeah. Tony Ray is doing the interviews as the winner. He all of a sudden gets told, hey, you're not the winner, sorry. Kelly's the winner and gets dumped. Yeah. The next saddest moment from that was watching the Poopos eliminate each other, made me hate that cut even more. We're not going to talk to who got through and who didn't get through. What I do like is that they immediately go to Snapper Rocks and get a jersey back on. And they're in their new game.
Yeah.
Right? So while I sat there and watched it and hate the cut and would never change my mind on whether I'd have it or not, and as you said, I could see the drama of that mid-year event, 5 in, really having some hooks. And I'm going, I was like, okay, I get it. And the fact that they were dumped, but then within days, they're at Snapper Rocks and they're back to work to save their career on the Challenger, that's something that softened the blow. They weren't just sitting on the sidelines for the next 6 months. They were straight back to work to get rid of the emotion and go, okay, I've got to funnel that disappointment into something positive and learn to turn a negative into a positive, great skill set to have for your life. And so Challenger's on right now. That's been going. It's 2 to 4. They had a world championship heat there.
That was cool. I feel like they missed a one world champion though. Didn't get his invite.
You wouldn't get an invite. No, but a long way to go.
But it was cool to watch, right?
It was fantastic.
Kelly surfed great. Mick, Steph.
Yeah.
Old
Joel,
Parko.
Ock. That great heat. They're all locals besides Kelly. It was a chance for all those champs to come together and pay tribute to the GOAT again.
That's right. They are all from that exact spot.
Well, Ock's from Cronulla, but he lives there now. Yeah. Been there for decades.
Years. Yeah.
So that was really cool. So that event goes on. We'll see what happens there. But good luck to all those guys that got bumped down. And we have seen people turn that disappointment into turnaround career turnarounds, and you see them back and they don't go anywhere for a period of time. We wish that for all of those that got the cut, so to speak. Jeff McCoy was from the Central Coast, I believe, from Avoca. And when I was a kid, McCoy surfboards were the biggest brand in my world, in our world, in Australia, in the world that I saw in competitive surfing. Shane Horan was most everybody's hero. He was the Bondi bombshell, blonde hair flowing. He had the fastest, quickest approach rail to rail and tight to the pocket coming from Bondi. He could turn nothing into something and make it look just incredible.
Was he like the Felipe Toledo of his time?
Yeah, 100%. I hitchhiked from my home in Mossman to the Gold Coast to watch the stubbies.
How far is that?
Man on man. That's, well, it's 1,000 kilometres. It's 800 kilometres.
What would that be in normal measurement?
Oh, well, you know, Mike Davis.
How many hour drive?
Nowadays, it's a 10-hour drive.
Oh, wow. You hitchhiked.
I hitchhiked.
That's safe.
To see a contest. As a kid. School kid, more or less. And on this, Mike Davis, you know the Mike Davis, he's an American shaper, been a long, long time on the south coast of Australia. He picked me up at a point, and I went in the back of his panel van up there too, with the shaper, so that was super cool. But the point was what?
You went up there to see this thing at
So
Burleigh.
I went up to Burleigh.
Which event was that? Who
the
was
Stubbies Pro.
Yeah, but who was
and the
surfing against?
final, no, it
Thornton
was Shane
Philander,
Horan.
Joe Engel.
Those guys were kids at this time. I wasn't competing or anything. I was a kid, at school, and decided I'm going to see that event. I'm going to go watch that, mate. I need to get there. And Shane Horan and Mark Richards were the final, and MR won it. But in my mind, Shane won it. He looked so much, in real life, as a kid, he looked so much faster, so much sharper, quick, boom, boom, and a really squared up, powerful stance, where MR kind of dropped those knees in a bit, and while it still had power and beauty and grace, you'd seen it. It was kind of the standard, and the new thing was Shane Horan.
Was he on a single fin?
Yeah, single fins, all singles, yeah. This is, I reckon,
but it wasn't the big laser zap yet.
No, so they hadn't, And I suppose when we think back to the old Hawaii boards, sunset guns, and everything that we came from, the wide point was always ahead of centre. They pull it back to a couple inches in front of centre. But the laser zaps, and that time they went, we're bringing it right back, and it's going to have that big pod at the back. You'll stand in one place, you'll never move, and you'll just, from that wider base, just without that front wide point driving your turn longer and wider and giving it more arc, you will just go form,
and turning in the pocket.
And it was, in my mind, one of the most influential design changes that I've seen. The most influential design change. Obviously, 3 fins is massive, 1, 2, 3 in the fin department. In terms of outlines and stuff, every single shaper and board in the world brought its wide point back. Every one. And it changed surfboard design forever. Good on you, Jeff McCoy. I had some good Jeff McCoys. I rode some in the 90s. So I didn't ride them as a kid. And in the single fin laser zap thing,
were any,
I didn't really like them.
Did you know surfers that were sponsored by McCoy?
Damien Hardman, Pam Burridge. Todd Ingham was the best surfer around when I was 16. He's better than all of us. Mark Imes, everyone who was anyone rode McCoys at that point in time. And when Shane went to laser zaps, they all went to laser zaps. And then 20s came in and sort of stole the thunder of the laser zap a little bit. And I didn't even get on 20s. I stayed traditional single fins straight to thrusters in 81 and rode through the twin fin thing on single fins and won events against guys on 20s through that time. And it was something that you kind of prided yourself on that little bit, was that you knew how to ride a single fin, and you could compete on one against guys on 20s and win. And then the thrusters came in, it was like, whew. But paying all our respects, sending all our love to Jeff McCoy's family. We thank him for his contribution to all of our performance surfing, and he'll be missed. Shane Horan, we love you, one of the great characters. And I heard in the grapevine you might be getting one of those boards.
Yeah, I ordered one from Shane. He's in San Clemente shaping. He's on a little world tour.
I saw that.
He said he's going to be going to England, and somehow I got a hold of him on WhatsApp, and all of a sudden I'm talking to Shane Horan, and there's someone in the background he's with. I don't know who he's with. He's all asking Shane, ask PK what he thinks about the WSL judging. I was like, well, it can't be as bad as when Shane was in. Shane told me that there would be he'd be winning, and there's 2 minutes to go, and he's ready to come in and win this event, and the announcer would go, we're extending the heat 10 minutes. Like, they were really against him in those early days.
And
was he a favorite of your generation a little bit? Or?
Yeah, he was 100% the mascot of our generation. And my best mate who I surfed with a lot was Kingsley Looker.
Yes, his protege.
Kingsley modelled himself on Shane.
The piano player.
And had the same boards, had the same little hats.
He looked like him, too.
And he surfed like him.
He did.
And that was and he made top 16 in 83 with me. Yeah. Our very first year on tour.
I remember Kingsley. What a
Kingsley
great guy.
was a great guy.
We'd make him play piano.
Yeah, he was an incredible musician.
Whenever there was a piano in a lobby.
Yeah, he'd love getting in there and doing it. Yeah, he was a great guy. So, yep, good days. So, Jeff McCoy.
Shane is shaping those lasers apps. He said it's the new lasers app.
Oh,
mine's going to be a 4-fin.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. 3 inches thick, 6'2".
Well, it makes sense with that amount of width at the back that you could fit a lot of fin on there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where the star fin or that Ben Lexton designed fin that Shane, I remember Shane used to walk down to the contest with towels over the fin. It was like this mysterious thing.
Like it was America's Cup. Don't worry, nobody wants to ride that. But the funny thing is, later in life, we all ended up foiling. We're basically riding a
bigger version.
A bigger version of that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, so he was really onto a lot of things early.
You know, talk about being onto things early, and what that took with the lasers app was courage, innovation, creativity, the desire to experiment and potentially fail. And it brings up this idea, like you take your mind to tennis and someone's about to serve. What does every person in the world of tennis do before they hit the ball? I think they bounce it. Every one of them. Boom, 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 boom. I've been waiting for 20 years. Who was the first guy to bounce it? Why do they all bounce it? And it speaks to the herd mentality of the human, and no one yet has been creative, or maybe someone has and I haven't seen it. So you can let us know. But I want to see someone walk up there, instead of bounce it, maybe throw it up 3 times and then whack it. Or maybe just walk up and don't do anything. Just walk up, stand there, hold it, and bash it.
I watched a great interview with Agassi. He was talking about Boris Becker, and he said he was unreturnable serve, and he just couldn't beat the guy. And then he just noticed that Becker did this thing. He stuck his tongue out when he was going to go to the left side of the court, and he didn't when he was going to go to the right. And Andre went, oh, my gosh, and started returning everything and was able to beat Boris Becker for a long time and never told him. And then years later at a party, saw Boris Becker and said, hey, did you know that I figured out a tell you do? And Boris Becker just stared at him with his mouth open and said, I would go home to my wife and say, it's like he's reading my mind. How great is that?
That's one of the best things I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He'd be standing there and he's going,
the tongue goes out and he's like, oh, it's coming for him.
I know
or it's going back. He just read it. And all of a sudden he had him.
So there is a depth of, of creativity and understanding of the situation. When I think about the lines that we're seeing generally in surfing, and my mind goes to the 10-point ride of John Florence at Margaret River, and it was, I immediately went, oh, that's 9+, and then I went, actually, that could be a 10. And when he threw that layback out and pulled it up and under him, how many times has Clay Marzo done that? For example, are there more extreme versions of that? To me, that was a 10. I mean, that's a 10, But it really in itself wasn't that different. It's all been seen before. And I'm thinking about the bouncing of the tennis ball, and I'm thinking about the riding of the waves that we see. I was watching Snapper.
Well, there's not much room in the format. They say they want variety. They don't want variety.
There needs to be some kind of change there, because it's the same surfing we've been watching for a long time. Maybe faster, sharper.
But hey, John, sponsored by Yeti, wins a Yeti. Big deal, right?
Big deal. I want to see more of that stuff. I want to see people throw into the air, throwing stuff out there, getting absolutely crazy with it and pushing progressive surfing, because the competitive surfing today is wonderful, and it's for what it is, it's almost as good as it can get. I don't know that anyone can do a better backhand re-entry.
And they're scoring consistency.
Where's the line changes?
You
Where's
talked
the
about
creativity?
You talked about this a couple of podcasts ago, like they started dumbing down Jazz and Andre and Miguel Pupo for doing those huge errors, and it's like, it doesn't matter if they do it on every wave. Can anyone else do it? It's the most radical thing you can do.
And I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see that surfing. So that's what the John turn did me.
Yeah.
But my mind goes, well, Clay Marzo could do that. He's done that 100 times.
Well,
Marzo.
Done it 5,000
Yeah.
times.
So, Marzo, I saw the other day.
But it was cool in the heat for John to do that and pull it off and make it. I get it.
Yeah, the
It's
format
incredible.
needs to allow.
It needs to incentivize people.
Yep.
Do you like that event, Margaret River? Do you like watching them surf that wave?
You know what I like doing?
You've worked it. You've been in it.
I've won it twice.
Woo! What was it called back then? Margaret River Pro?
One of them was the biggest year on record.
You won that huge year.
The huge year. I don't know
what
if that
size
was
board?
91 or my first heat. That morning was 12 to 15.
And if people saw footage of that, they wouldn't know it was Margaret River because you were going left.
Yeah, we were going left on big lefts.
Was there rights back then?
Yeah, they were still there, but I suppose people hadn't. The left was just
The left was the wave you rode.
and you can get barreled. We were getting tubed on that left.
Right.
Like they do on the right. I mean, as a left-right peak, it's sick. If the lefts were, if you encourage, you know what I thought? Margaret River, best two waves, one left, one right. That's how you count the result of a heat.
That'd be cool.
That'd be super cool, and they've got to go left and right, and you get to see one of each.
I saw some people get lefts. Katie Simmers went left and got a good score.
Yeah, it's possible, and they should, But anyway, it's a good wave. It's a great place. When I'm watching it, I just remember being there. It's one of my most favourite places in the world.
The West is unreal, huh?
There's nowhere better. There's not many places. There's places as good, but
Nothing
it's
better.
one of them places that's just special, mate. So, and in a way, it's signed on for a bunch of more years with WSL. We see that Snapper Rocks is coming on as a CT next year. So that's an interesting change. Does that mean that we got 3 CTs in Oz?
I don't know. I can't keep up with them. They can say it and then it might not happen. Who knows?
Exactly.
Are you glad that you didn't buy 6 plots of land at Margaret River?
I was going to buy.
When they were $10,000 a piece?
You know what? My plan was to buy. I did a real estate search. I went home when I'm buying. Next year when I got there, the boom had happened. Oh. And everything I looked at was 2 or 3 times more. I went, I'm out of the market.
Which is still cheap
I missed
now.
It by a year. But,
it was priced out of your range. It wasn't expensive for what we look at now.
Not for what you look at now, no.
Didn't Dave McCoy win a piece of land there? Or Gary Clisby? Or someone won a contest and they got like a piece of land.
Well, Derek Hine won a piece of land at J Bay, didn't he? No. Who won a piece of land at J Bay?
I think he did, and I think I've stayed there a bunch now.
Yeah, he's got a house there. Did he win that? Or
he's partners still with someone in the house. I don't think he totally divested his total interest. I think I've rented that house. Yeah. It's on the cliff there.
Yeah, it is. I've slid down the slippery dip he had in the house. Yes. He just hung on that thing and just let go. Terrifying. Vertical. People loved the Kelly Slater interview.
Yes, they did.
It's gone far and wide, and we got some fantastic comments.
2 goats talking story.
That's a lot of the comments touched me because they were about my interviewing style, I suppose. But this says, BL, this is an incredible interview. This is from Peter N on YouTube. You're interviewing Kelly, but he is interviewing you right back. The individual humility you both have and your respect for each other has been so inspiring. Kelly's memory and level of detail that he can describe is extraordinary. Your memory is extraordinary. It's not. I can't remember the heat with Kelly Slater. The one that he talks about in Reunion Island. Right. I don't remember that heat at all.
He remembers everything. It's like a little tiny elephant.
Great interview. Shame we didn't get another hour.
That would have been 3 hours.
Would love to hear you two talking about some of the recent events around vaccine and health.
Well, we'll get to
the whole COVID thing. We will do that.
I feel like he's a consistent guest on your show.
Yes.
You've had him a couple times.
Had him, and he's a good mate, and we support everything he does. And I think that was the thing that came through in the comments was people appreciated me asking questions, shutting up, giving him the space, and then one of them sort of says how they've seen a bunch of interviews with him before. Best interview of Slater I've seen. Barton, great interviewing skills by letting Kelly talk. For some reason, Kelly opened up more in this interview. Maybe it's because he feels reflective, knowing his tour is coming to an end. Well, is it? Has it?
No.
He's still out there competing.
They had a just kind of a ceremonial. Kelly Slater quits professional surfing and he's in the next event at Snapper. And then he's in Tahiti, which is the next week.
He is in Tahiti and Fiji.
He's in Tahiti and he's in Fiji. So he's going to be doing his dream tour, which is Pipeline, Tahiti, and Fiji for the rest of his life.
You know what? He is manifesting in such an ambitious, deep way right now on one of them as a win, isn't he? Yeah. Like he would fall over himself just to get one more win at either of those venues, and walk would be the perfect send-off even without the Olympics. It'd be something of a highlight after some not so great results, but none of us will remember that. Cool. Phenomenal interview from Alex. There have been countless interviews of the GOAT over the years where he clearly wasn't interested, wasn't vibing with the interviewer. This isn't one of those. So people loved it and they appreciate it. So thank you, PK. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, people, for tuning in today. Massive thanks to A New Earth Project for supporting the Stoked Bloke podcast, for the Pipeline Studios, for Peter King, and all that you guys bring to us. We'll keep bringing it to you guys. We love yous. Have a great night or a great day wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you soon.